Hey guys, so welcome back to another video. So in today's episode, what we're going to be doing is talking feet and ankle rehab / prehab. Regardless of whether you're a runner, whether you're a rugby player, football player, just an athlete in general, our feet and our ankles are always under a constant amount of load and force that they're having to control and dissipate, right? So one of the things that I always like to do is, yes, we train to get stronger, to look better, but we also should be training to prepare ourselves for what it is that we want to be doing. Like I said, if you're a football player and a rugby player or a runner, strengthening your feet and ankles to be able to cope with the demands of your sport is vitally important, right? Because every time we jump, we land, we run, we strike the ground, our foot is having to coordinate, and our feet are the base of our support, right? So if I'm standing here now, one of the key concepts I always get people to do is what we want to torque that knee and foot out without losing the pressure on the big toe. Okay, so when I do that, when I torque this knee outwards without losing pressure, I increase the height of my arch, okay? And that puts me in a perfect mechanical landing position with knee over ankle under hip so that I can then absorb force. Whereas if I collapse the arch, you can see that my knee rolls in, I get internal rotation of the hip, which is just causing unnecessary wear and tear. So if every time I foot strike and I'm running, that's happening, and I'm exaggerating that because it will happen much smaller than that, then I'm getting a twisting action, not only in my knee, and I'm placing more pressure on my MCL and my ACL, but also in my hip capsule as well. So it's really important that we take the time to strengthen those feet, right? So if I'm doing things like a banded sidewalk, it's making sure that I get my feet into that correct position. So I'm here, I've got tension, and then from there I move. Okay, so we're looking to train that foot position. We're not just activating the hips, we're activating the hips in a specific environment, right? Because if I'm here, which is how so many people kind of do this, I'm actually ingraining a really poor movement pattern, okay? And it's the same when we do things like those lateral bounds, right? So if I'm gonna jump off my right foot and look to land onto my left foot, I want that arch to stay intact and for that knee to stay nice and strong so that there's no collapsing or unnecessary forces that my body's having to deal with. So what I'm going to put together and take you through now is an ankle and foot strengthening program. Let's get going. The first one we're going to do, I call this the land of the silly walks. So tiptoe walks, heel walks, eversion and inversion. What this does is it prepares the ankle to be able to handle different ranges of motion, okay? So the tiptoe walks, we find our big toe, we're as tall as and straight as we can be, and then we're just walking onto tiptoes. Try not to have the heel collapse as you walk. From there, we're going to go into heel walks. And again, what we're trying to do here is as I lift these toes, don't break at the hip. Okay, stay forward, stay tall. And then we're going to take all the way onto the outside edge of the feet. And you're going to walk here, which is generally the easier one. And then the weirdest one is the inside of the feet. And again, what you're looking for is where are you weak? And in an ideal world, we don't want you weak anywhere because things break at weak places. Okay, that's what you need to understand. So if you've injured your ankles and feet before in the past, there's a likelihood that you're going to re-injure them again unless you strengthen them and make them robust. Okay, so just going through that again, tiptoe walks, find the big toe. As tall as you can be. I need this extra height. Heel walks on the way back. Again, don't allow yourself to break at the hip. Stay tall. Really work the anterior side of those shins, tibialis anterior. Eversion. Inversion. So next up we have slow and controlled tempos on calf raises, okay? So what this is going to do is really train to strengthen the entire range of motion. What you'll find is that when people do calf raises, there's kind of like a jump up and there's no strength of that end range. What we're really trying to do is get really strong at the extremes. So both high onto the tiptoe, as we saw with the tiptoe walks, but also down into no man's land here where we can start to lengthen that calf and that Achilles, okay, and get strong at length. That's really important, is that we're always training through full range of motion. So what we're going to do here is 3 up, 3 down continuously for 10 reps. Okay, so key things when we're doing a calf raise is don't kind of lean forward, okay? We want ear and head over heels. Okay, so set yourself up to the point where you can get nice and tall. Find your big toe at the top. It's 3, 2, 1, no rest. 3, 2, 1, peak contraction. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. 3. That's a surprisingly challenging exercise, okay, especially throughout the range. You'll really start to find where you as an individual are weak in that movement. Normally it's that peak, at the peak contraction, at the tallest position, and just making sure we own that, right? What the goal here is to build fitness, build capacity, and build strength. You know, then when we start to move into jumps and more dynamic nature exercises, we've already laid the foundations. We can already control range of motion. You know, all the training is mastering our body weight, really, right? So we're just learning how to do that. And we're going to pair that with a seated toe raise. Okay, so again, really working that tibialis anterior, because that is a really important muscle through the walking and running gait to make sure that we're preparing our foot and ankle for ground contact. Okay, so finding yourself a bench or a chair or something like that, what we want to make sure we're doing, right, the straighter my legs are, the easier it is to kind of get the range of motion, and I'm giving slack to the knee joint. So you can see I'm exaggerating this, but as I lift my toes, I'm bending my knees. What we want to do in this one is get the heels directly under the knee. So actually there's a little bit of maybe forward trajectory of the shin, right? Lock in, and then it's lift. You hold that position and down. You know, if that's too hard, if you lack ankle range of motion and that can't do it, then you go as forward as you need to get the range of motion. So it's here, hold, back down. We're actually going to go 50 repetitions of this, all right? Track athletes know this exercise really well, and they'll do this for 5 minutes non-stop. I've heard some people doing that, all right? The capacity and the strength just to be able to do that is phenomenal, you know? So building up your fitness in this movement, and again, just pepper this in. Like, it doesn't have to be done at the end of the warm-up. The land of the silly walks, do at the end of the warm-up. It kind of fits in kind of nicely with the whole walking backwards and forwards over 10 meters. Here, you can do this in between squats, in between deadlifts, in between bench presses. Just get them done, right? And actually, depending on where you are in your rehab, like, you might want to do this every day. This is low intensive work that's just laying the foundations, right? It's that whole essence of a rising tide raises all ships. We want to raise that capacity and the strength of our feet, because then we'll be able to express the force that we're developing in the squats and deadlifts into the ground when we're running and sprinting and changing direction, etc. So here, just a little pause, just so we make sure we're not just sort of doing this. It's uphold, own that top position. 50 repetitions, you're definitely going to feel a huge burn on the front there. 3 rounds of both the calf raise, slower tempo, and toe raises, okay? Final 2 movements, okay? These are isometric exercises, okay? The good thing about isometric exercises, there's no movement at the joint, but we're getting maximal recruitment of the tissue. So actually, there's very little wear and tear and lots of return for your investment. So what we've got is 2 main exercises, again, working different ranges of motion for the ankle in different positions, okay? The first one we're gonna do, you're gonna set yourself up, squat rack, chin up bar, whatever it might be, and we're gonna go into an A stance isometric. So essentially, we wanna get the palms up against the chin up bar, we come up into that sprint specific A position, and then from here, I'm just gonna push up through my calf. I'm not pushing with my arms. I'm pushing up through my calf, into my hands, into the bar. Right leg, or the leg that's down, straight. And then just keep the tension. Now, we can do these isometrics for maximal contraction, where we might do a 6-second hold, or we can do it for extensive. We want in this phase of the movement extensive, all right? We're looking to build capacity. So 20 seconds building to 30 seconds over a few weeks is perfect. So what you need to do is you need to understand that the amount of tension you create is like a volume dial on a stereo, okay? We don't want to crank that up to 10 out of 10 if we're hanging on for 30 seconds, right? We're creating tension between you and the floor, okay? To build up that capacity to own this position, that toe off position for both running and sprinting, okay? All too often when we get fatigued, we miss that toe off position. Then our stride length drops and our frequency drops and everything, performance drops, okay? So it's making sure that we're optimizing our ability to produce force into the ground, okay? So we have got A stance iso, 20 seconds building to 30 seconds, okay? You'll do 20 seconds, then switch over, do the other side. And then we're going to go the feet elevated, deep lunge position hold, okay? Now, when you do this one, you can do this on the floor. I like doing it on a plate or on a box or whatever it might be. So we're going to come down. You're going to place the balls of your toes on the box, and then you're going to lift the heel, okay? And then from there, I drop, okay? Knee comes over the toe, okay? Because you want to imagine that I'm sprinting forward. So my head is in front of my knee. So essentially, if I just lightly touch here, I can take that back foot off the floor. Okay, I'm like 80-20. Okay, heel up, 20-second hold. You're going to start to get a little tremor like that. That's what you're looking for. That's when the muscle's struggling to maintain its position. And then 20 seconds on the other side. So what we're getting there is we're strengthening that foot from both positions, okay? That kind of landing position if you're sprinting into here, and then that toe off position up into there, okay? And then this will carry over really well to sort of the jumping, the sprinting. So this is, if you've had feet or ankle problems, or you're just a sort of really sort of forward thinking sort of athlete and you want to make sure that you're strong, pepper this stuff out. Land of the silly walks in the, at the end of the warm-ups. Add in some isometrics at the very end of your session. Add in the calf raises and the toe raises just as supplementary exercises as you see fit. But do this consistently. Consistency is key for everything we do. Doesn't matter whether you're running, lifting weights, or playing sport. The more you can practice, the better. And that's why we need to make sure we're looking after ourselves in the gym so that we can spend more time doing the thing that, you know, we want to be doing. The goal of the gym is to keep you prepared for what it is you want to do for life, not to rob you of capacity and to take away, okay? So add some of this stuff in, give it a go, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.